All right. Welcome everybody to today's Modern Sales Mastery. Used to be called Vengreso Live. If you are here, you are in the right place. My name is Viveka von Rosen, and I am the Chief Visibility Officer with Vengreso. And today I am super excited because we have Mr. Bobby Martin with us. Now, before I get started in introducing Bobby, let us know in chat, where are you calling in from? And say hello to me in your native language. If you're calling in from another country, that would be awesome. So Bobby is a 52-year-old entrepreneur and supporter of innovative entrepreneurship. He is the president and co-founder of Vertical IQ, which is really, really cool. And we'll talk about it a little bit more later. It's a leading provider of sales research insight for banks and I think other verticals too now. He also co-founded and served as the president of First Research, a leader in sales intelligence. So today, as you can imagine, we are going to be talking all about sales intelligence. So welcome, Mr. Bobby Fischer. Hi, Bobby Martin. I mean, did I call you Bobby Fischer?
You did, which is hilarious. I get it. It's great to be here. Thank you very much.
Oops. Welcome, Bobby Fischer Martin.
I wish I could think of something quick enough to come back at you with a name, but I can't.
Yeah, I know. I'm lost. I don't know. So if you've got any questions for us, obviously feel free to ask them in chat. We will pull them up and be happy to answer them. You're going to want to make sure to follow us, of course, on LinkedIn. And let's go ahead and get started. Is there anything you want us to know before we get started?
I don't think so. I'm just excited to be here. I'm pumped about sales. I love getting to know customers, and it's a deep passion of mine. So I just can't wait to go crazy. Good to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I am psyched to have you here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with our first question. So many folks in sales know about, the ABC rule, right? Always be closing. But you have another rule that you have adopted, and you think others should adopt this rule. It is the ABR. So can you tell us what is ABR and why should salespeople adopt this rule?
Yeah, it'd be great to be able to ask you if you know where this is going, but it is always be. But instead of always be closing, I believe passionately that sales professionals should always be ready. So the R stands for ready. When you're ready, and you're somebody that's ready to provide knowledge, whoever you're meeting with, then really good things happen. And I believe the best salespeople are always ready. And so we're very much in the readiness wins business, and feel like always be ready is more important than always be closing, because when you're always ready, then you're always ready to add value, and you're ready to add value, you're in a position to eventually close. Because you have
I was wondering, is ABR always be researching? But you got to be researching so that you're ready, so that you're always ready. And that ABC, right? Always be closing. That's so, I don't know, as a consumer, close. It just feels so smarmy to me. But if you're ready to inform, if you're listening, if you've done your research, if you're ready, that's different. Now you're serving me as opposed to trying to close me, which seems kind of aggro to me.
Yeah, totally. And of course, the cliche always be closing became famous with the movie Glengarry Glen Ross. Yeah. Where, and I'm sure most of your audience has seen Glengarry Glen Ross, but they were, it was kind of the opposite of getting to know the customer, understanding what their needs are, being in the position to care about them and figure out how to get them where they want to be on their journey. Instead, it was like, when we rip these people off, and you need to always be giving them just enough information to make them feel uncomfortable to the point of wanting to buy. Yeah. And always be ready is the opposite of that. Although the movie's fantastic. And the scene, of course, with always be closing is one of the greatest sales scenes ever. So I'm definitely not saying that wasn't awesome.
That's all. We should have like a running list of movies that our watchers should watch in preparation for.
Totally.
Exactly. I
you
love
could
it.
always just, if you want to, if any of your listeners don't know what I'm talking about by chance, just go to YouTube and type in Glenn Ross famous scene, and it'll take about 3 minutes, but it is fun to watch. Saturday Night Live did a spoof on it as well. So
I love it. But yeah, if we've got time, maybe Duke or Sham in the background can find that for us. That would have been perfect to pull up right now.
Totally. We at Vertical IQ believe that salespeople should always be ready, and it is. And we'll get more into what that means, but it is a fantastic way to go about business, and sure to make you more successful.
I love it. And we're having coffee is for closers. Some people are already bringing up that line too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, Bonnie, welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. All right, let's get into the second question, because you talked about vertical IQ, sales intelligence. So what is industry intelligence, and why is it so important to sales success? And it seems like an obvious answer, but I have a feeling it's a little deeper than the obvious.
Yeah, it is. I think that when you think of industry intelligence, that's a pretty broad term. It's about industries, of course, but really what industry intelligence is from our perspective and from a salesperson's perspective is to be smart about a particular type of business and what they care about. So when you go see, for example, if you're a salesperson who sells to multiple industries and you go see a furniture manufacturer, when they wake up every day, they have a deep, deep passion for furniture manufacturing. Or if you go see somebody, in the lumber business, they have a deep passion, or funeral homes or movie production, whatever it is, they care about that intimately. And with the more you know about what the customer really cares about, the greater salesperson you're going to be. So to my mind, industry intelligence is the ability to be ready with the knowledge you need when you're meeting with a particular type of business, and to be passionate about their business. It says industry, but that's just a broad term for what vertical they're in.
Yeah.
But really what it is being passionate about what they're passionate about.
Hence the name Vertical IQ.
Indeed.
Well, and I love that, because it's, we always talk about point of pain, solving the point of pain. But, that point of passion is also important. It's probably a play on both, and passion can create pain and pain can create passion, of course. But having that deep intelligence, is obviously key for the salesperson. So where does that show up? Right, in the sales process? Is it at the beginning? Is it at the end? Is it throughout the whole thing? Where should we be deep diving into our verticals intelligence?
Oh yeah, sure. It is highly relevant throughout the entire sales process, because it never goes away. Their passion for their business never goes away. Right. So if you're always thinking about it, but to be more specific, when you think about it, if you're in sales and you're trying to do a lot of outreach, and when I think of that, I think of what you guys do at Vengreso. It's like when you're on LinkedIn and you're talking about yourselves all the time, and on Twitter and only talking about yourselves, you're not relating to people, right?
Exactly.
And so I believe, and Vertical IQ believes, that instead you want to talk about what your customers care about. And to do that, you need to be online talking about things like, I understand lumber prices have fallen or increased. That's a good example, because it's been crazy, 30% a year. How's that affecting your business? What impact has that had on you? And it's really how you become part of the club and part of the team to be respected and recognized in a particular vertical. And so industry intelligence is relating to them.
I really like that. So it's, the salesperson obviously wants to do deep research on the client that they're going to work with. But if I'm hearing you correctly, having that research, understanding what their needs are, they can even start, sharing and creating content. Either a marketing team can give it to them, or they can find it themselves that aligns with those passions, so that there's there's an alignment and a connection there then potentially between the seller and the buyer, because the buyer knows what the seller's passion, or the seller knows what the buyer is passionate about. Right. And is feeding them information, kind of like a, hey, us too.
See, yeah, I think you nailed it. That's exactly what I'm advocating for. It's like whenever you're online and you're talking, when you lead, which isn't necessarily, it's sort of like, it doesn't come naturally for most people. Right. But when you lead with whatever they care about and you say, hey, this is going on. And by the way, we would love to help you here at whatever company your listeners are from. We'd love to help you mitigate that concern. We'd love to help to learn more about it and how it relates to your business so that we can fulfill your needs to make you a more successful business. Yeah. You know, that's the way at the beginning of the sales cycle to get lots and lots of people engaged with what you're doing. And so some salespeople that are listening right now, some of them sell to all industries. Right. I believe those people should, in addition to sell to all industries, pick 4 or 5 niches that they're really good at, and they become part of the club where they get the action. Those might be bankers, accountants, insurance, software. There are many. Yeah. Other of your listeners, they only sell to a few verticals. Yeah. Those people should do the exact same thing. They can do it better, though. They should do it way better. But that's just at the beginning of the sales cycle when you're using lots of social media and that thing. When you start getting into the presentation part of the sales cycle, I can give you really a good example. What I love to do when I was in sales back in the 90s, which was kind of a while ago, that time flies, you know. But what I would do is I would try to create a deck. I would learn everything I can about that business. Okay. Yeah. And then I would create a deck, and I would swear myself to keeping 75 to 80% of the deck about them. Yes. And then tying whatever they have going on, very specific things they have going on, tying it back to whatever we were providing, which is the time banking services. And it worked incredibly well. Yeah. And that's when my sales really started taking off. And so that's kind of also towards you're getting through the sales cycle closer and closer towards closing the deal. And then, of course, after it applies as well. So. Yeah, at 100%. You know, and it's amazing to me, like back in the 90s, it was a lot harder to get intelligence. We didn't have Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, you know, we didn't have all the verbal and the written puking going on, right? You know, like I know more about you than I ever wanted to know, you know, so I love that you realize the importance of this, you know, as far back as the 90s. And there's no excuse. There's absolutely no excuse. A, because we've got social and a lot of people are on there and pretty transparent. And B, because we have tools like Vertical IQ that can help to get us that intelligence. There's no reason at all why salespeople should not be studying their buyers, should not be studying their prospects. It seems like laziness to me if you don't do that. Yeah, or it's either laziness or sometimes it's just not, they're not aware of. They're like, they have to be constantly reminded, which is what this show, I think, hopefully helping people. They're like, because think about it, to your listeners, your competitors probably aren't doing what I'm talking about. Right. They're not ready. And when I say ready, I mean ready to talk about the customer. They're not ready to do that. Yeah. And so if you are, and you're ready to ask great questions and relate to them, you're a step ahead. And we were actually talking about the sales cycle and where industry intelligence, or intelligence about the customer is relevant. Yeah. It's also relevant in conversations. And I just want to emphasize that the quality of your questions is highly important to the success that you're going to have with that particular meeting. Great salespeople. I mean, your listeners already know that great salespeople ask really good questions. Yeah. And so, but the question becomes, how do you ask really good questions about them? Yes. How do you get away from the cliche questions that everybody asks, like, tell me more about your business. Tell me more about your growth plan.
No, right? Tell me, get in there, get into the details, right?
Yeah. You're like, I was reading the Wall Street Journal. And, you know, that's just because you were ready. I was reading the Wall Street Journal that childcare centers are now more than ever relying on, funding from states and things like that. Is that true of your business? Then you get a 15-minute answer. You're like, and so really it's shifting the conversation. And so I guess the point is industry intelligence is very important in the conversation.
Yeah, it really is. And, I almost wonder if social media and our marketing team have done us a disservice, because a lot of sellers, BDRs, they are reliant on getting those sales qualified leads from the marketing team that come in through the website. And they're like, they're handed a piece of candy and they think they can just eat it. But, it's like, you need to find out where this candy came from, what this candy is interested in. You can't just eat it. You're doing yourself, your company, and quite frankly, the marketing team that served it up to you a disservice if you're not doing the deep research to take that conversation to the next step.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. That's what it is. And I think that's, I don't know how many SDRs are on, sales development representatives, and business development representatives, but, most of them are trained in volume. And so they want exactly. Okay, I've got 1,000 leads. Yeah. So I'm not advocating that an SDR be ready by taking 20 minutes to get to know the business, but I am advocating they take 30 seconds or a minute.
Yes.
Or maybe for an important lead, when they go, man, this is a really high quality lead. Also from Glengarry Glen Ross. Yeah. Lead. These leads are crap. But the good leads, the golden leads, as they like to say, Glengarry Glen Ross, those could get 5 minutes of time.
Exactly. Just a little bit more research. Okay, we are going to talk more about vertical IQ and why you are different in just a minute. But speaking of our salespeople, we have a quick commercial for you. It's our new product called Fly Message, which will save you time, and we'll be back in about 22 seconds. Want to type less and sell more? Then check out flymsg.io. Hello to our friends Dave Coffey, Adam Ligaraldi. We have Lisa Perlmutter. Sorry. Lisa, we've got Bonnie David on the call and several others whose names I can't see because of the software. So thank you so much for being here today. We are with Bobby Martin, not Bobby Fischer. That would have been weird because he's dead. We're with Bobby Martin today talking about sales intelligence. And so tell us a little bit more about Vertical IQ. That is your company that helps with sales intelligence. Why is it, or how is it different? How is it unique from other potential tools out there?
Yeah, I'm glad you used the word unique because it really is a unique sales tool. It's, as I mentioned earlier, we're in the readiness business. So we help salespeople get ready. And the way we do that is providing industry intelligence on hundreds of industries from the perspective of a sales professional. What would a sales professional want to know about this industry? So many of many of you have heard of industry research. Like you said, okay, I got to go research an industry, and you just you go through.
Yeah, exactly. Where do I start?
Yeah, it's so dry, and it's so much heavy lifting, and it's so much economic data. It's overkill. But what Vertical IQ has been able to do is organize the information from a sales perspective and then make it useful. We have something called Sales Kit, and Sales Kit is a way that on hundreds of industries, you can actually leverage that in industry information with your customers. So you go, hey, I've got this industry information for you. This is really cool. The other thing Vertical IQ does a lot of is we handpick or curate news. So like in a particular industry, I'd mentioned like lumber. So in the lumber industry, there's probably 500-600 articles a week that come out about lumber.
Yeah.
And a sales professional, if they use Google, they don't know which ones are relevant.
Right. Where are you even going to start?
Yeah. So we have 3 researchers who do nothing but go, no. Wow, look at this article that happens to be in the Wall Street Journal or happens to be somewhere that's like really compelling for a sales professional to get their fingers on this. That's the type of thing that Vertical IQ has a passion for. And so it's industry profiles from the sales perspective is what it is. And, the genesis is that I mentioned I was a sales professional, and then I started getting very passionate about industry intelligence because I noticed it gave me a real edge. And so I started forming these cheat sheets on all these industries where I would do the heavy lifting and just get, really they were handwritten, just a page and a half. And a lot of it was perfect questions to ask these types of businesses like oil and gas or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I noticed all the salespeople around me, they wanted, hey, do you have one on this industry? And I kept doing more and more of them. So I had the idea to put those on our company's intranet. And they didn't want to do that. They were like, no. And then I was like, I'll prove them wrong. Cause it's deep in my heart, I'm really an entrepreneur. I love startups. I've got, lots of startups, so I decided to start a company that provides industry intelligence from the perspective of the sales professional. So that's kind of,
I love it.
The story. Yeah, it's fun.
All the information's out there. We know that. I mean, the value is in the curation of that content. The fact that you have real people doing it, because, AI is great. We love AI, but the fact that you've got real people who get that gut reaction and go, this is an article that industry needs to know about, or this is an industry article that person needs to know about. That's pretty powerful.
It really is what we tried to do. And of course, the news articles is just part of it. And then another example would be like business valuation information. Like, hey, you ever, depending on what kind of a salesperson you are, or maybe just any kind of salesperson, are you curious about what your company might be worth? Well, we happen to have this tool that I have all the valuation for your particular type of industry, architect firms or whatever it is. And here's what they're selling for. I just thought I'd give it to you for free because I happen to see this. Yeah. In fact, that actually leads me to another question, which is, it's really cool. Yeah. And so that's what we do. And it makes us unique because it's not a tool that every salesperson has, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah.
And we have 40,000.
They should, though.
They should. I mean, we have 40,000 Vertical IQ users. Yeah. But in the world of sales, it's probably 3 million salespeople. So if you have access to Vertical IQ, you have something that's like an unfair advantage.
Yeah, exactly. I always, and I think I quote him on every single interview, live podcast I've ever done. But my friend Bob Berg, all things being equal, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And Vertical IQ helps to build that know, like, and trust. Like if you're serving up this wonderful information, this unique information, this valuable information to your buyer, like how can they not like you and start to trust you enough to say yes when, the ask comes?
Yeah, and you actually say it very well. You say it better than me. We should have you come in and do the PR for me because I love how you articulated that. It's about building trust and making friends and influencing people, as the famous book is.
Yes,
about.
Right, exactly. Yep, Zig Ziglar. And there's our friend Bernie. So Bernie was our CMO, CCO for the longest time and has left us, deserted us. It's fine, Bernie. It's fine. But I love you're here right now. And you're absolutely right, Bernie. Every salesperson wants that unfair advantage. And that's what Vertical IQ gets you.
That's right. That's right. We wake up every day, and that's what we're passionate about, giving you an unfair advantage.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So as we wrap up here, we've got 5 minutes left. What advice do you have for sales professionals? What should they do every single day? Kind of break it down for us to help them be more successful.
Yeah. And, one of the things that comes to mind, of course, that we've already talked about is be ready.
Yeah.
And I am quite aware that being a great salesperson goes beyond industry intelligence. So readiness, to my mind, is more than industry intelligence. Okay. So I think one thing that sales professionals can do to be ready is not just talk about the customer's business, but be ready to add value. And so, there's obviously 1,000 things I could say, but the one that I think that really stands out to give salespeople successful tools is always think before every meeting is, how can I add value in this particular conversation? Because in 2021, and maybe this was less true in the 80s and 90s and even 10 years ago, but I know in 2021, people's time has become a very expensive commodity.
Yes.
And so if you're wasting their time, it's going to really hurt you as a sales professional. But if you're adding value and you're giving them ideas and things they haven't thought of, or connections they don't already have. I'll never forget one of the greatest sales calls I've ever been on. And it's nothing to do with industry intelligence. I was meeting with a chemical manufacturing company, and we're trying to get their business. And I was with this guy. His name was Jim McCall. He's Hugh McCall's brother. And he said to the man, he said, hey, he had this thick Southern accent, really thick. And he said, Frank, let me ask you a question. Would you tell me the 5 companies you're not doing business with? Could you give me a list of those that you want to do business with? If we can help you get that business, would you consider even doing business with us? He said it just like that. Frank goes, yes. He wrote down on a little piece of paper 5 companies he really wanted to do business with.
Yeah.
And then that guy went back and he started making all these phone calls. Built connections.
I love that.
Sales stuff. So the one thing I would tell you is add value. Be like call. Because it works.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. That is, and so the curation, being a curator of good content, that saves time, and time is the most valuable thing we have, as we know. So I love that Vertical IQ does that. And our networks, like, think about, salespeople should have at least 500 connections on LinkedIn and be connected to. Like, how can you bring your network in? How can you bring that? I love that story and how he used his network to land the deal.
Before LinkedIn. This was
way before LinkedIn. Yeah. Back when we had Rolodexes. Remember Rolodexes, right?
You could do the same thing and so much faster than he did. You could literally go, oh my gosh, I know this connection. I can make this connection like that.
Yeah. I know the CCO at that. I know the CMO at that. I know the CEO of that person. Like, I'm happy to introduce you. And that's a whole other conversation. We'll have that conversation another day. But it's our network is our net worth, right? That's what my friend John says. So absolutely. Okay, you wrote a book. We have a couple minutes left. You wrote a book called The Hockey Stick Principles. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And we'll put the link up so people can grab it.
Oh yeah, sure. It's another very fun project. The Hockey Stick Principles is about startups. How do these companies go about building these incredibly successful businesses? Well, I determined that their revenue growth curves, all of them, are shaped like a hockey stick. So they go like that. Yeah. And the big part of the book is, what do the successful ones do during what I call the blade years, which are the first 3 or 4 years when revenue is low and growth is low. Yeah. Looks like a blade. Their revenue growth looks like a blade. What do they do special that enables their companies to really take off? And that's the hockey stick principles. And
yeah,
it was a culmination of a ton of research, no surprise there, and a huge research project I did on what makes them successful. And it's also a fun book to read. So check it out if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I loved it. I went to, and Sham, I'm going to pop it into chat so we can get this link in here too. I went to your website, which is hockeystickprinciples.com, and you've got a really cool ebook that people can get. So if you're not quite ready to buy the book, which you totally should, because it's like $11. But if you're not ready to buy the book, then go to hockeystickprinciples.com, because the ebook, the downloadable ebook, has a ton of great hockey stick examples. Should you start a company with founders? Does it make a difference? Do private companies, versus public companies? Like, how does that hockey stick? I mean, you've had so many great hockey stick examples there. So I would tell everyone, go to hockeystickprinciples.com. Sham, if you can grab that and pop that into chat, that would be awesome. There we go. Thank you so much. And it's also in the comment section. Bobby, any last words before we wrap this puppy up?
I don't think so. This has been a ton of fun. I've just loved spending time with you and all the listeners. And, thank you for your participation. I just hope that everybody got a lot out of this. And I hope that you'll always be ready, and that you'll, really think about, what is it I can do to add value? What value can I bring to this particular conversation? How do I go about that? And thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure and a lot of fun.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Next week, we'll be back with Modern Sales Mastery. I think one of my other founders will be doing that show, so make sure to jump in then. Thank you again, Bobby Martin with Vertical IQ, and also check out Hockey Stick Principles. And we'll sign off with this message from Vengreso. Oh, or not. All right, Champ, you do it. We're both clicking. Thank you.